Dallas make it hurt.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. What's going on tonight is Monday night. It's 7 o'clock Central. It ain't, it's Monday night Raw time, but we got to set a new precedence. It's also time for the big time show. Now, I'm not trying to go against WWE. I mean, I know I'm a small fry. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that. I understand that. But I'm here because I got to. This is my time. It's big time. Y'all know what time it is, right? What's going on, everybody? What is going on tonight? What's going on? I see everybody coming in. Oh, I don't like that. I was about to put all that up there. Yeah, I see that. And the first name that I see, as soon as I do that, is Eastside Harold. I'm going to speak to everybody that got on here before that, but it's just a shame that I got to open up. It's a shame that I got to open up the show with him being the first one. It's really sad. What's going on, everybody? What's going on tonight? Welcome once again to the one and the only, the Big Time Show podcast that is being seen and heard in a lot of different places. In particular, first, we've been seen on the NGBN.TV network, which you can watch. All you got to do is download it to your phones. That symbol right there, all you got to do is do that. And then, of course, we're being seen live right now on, Big Time Show pages that are on Facebook and YouTube. We're being seen on Twitter, the Big Time Show page there, and on Twitch live right now. We're on Instagram right now as well. We are on Instagram right now live there. I haven't been coming on that page in such a long time, but got a lot of followers on Instagram. Hopefully they will jump back on. People choose. Some people want Facebook, some people want YouTube, and can't watch all four, all these channels at the same time. So you pick one. So I'm just trying to broaden the base and let everyone, wherever they want to watch me, I'm trying to be there. Just trying to build a show. I hope that you guys would share right now, if you can, share real quickly to wherever you want to share to, Cowboy fans, Cowboy haters, Cowboy jokesters, whatever you want to call it. I hope that you guys would share there as well. I'm still sharing now. Forgive me for looking down, but I'm sharing right now as we speak. And I hope that you guys would allow me to do that. I'm doing that right now as we speak. Yeah, So there it is. I'm there right now. What's going on? I'm doing that now. So let's see if we can have some fun tonight here on this Freestyle Monday. And really, I only want to talk about, at first, I was going to talk about one thing, but I got to bring up something else that I saw. Not earth shattering news, but it's worth talking about. Let me just say it like that. From the last time I've been with you, we have a little more news to share, just a little more. Stuff probably that you've already heard because you guys are die-hard Cowboy fans, with the exception of maybe a couple of you in here. But most of us are Cowboy fans, so I'm quite sure you got all your notifications on the phone just like I do, and you see every bit of news that is coming out of Cowboy land. So you probably already know some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, but it's just worth talking about. And you're in the chat now. Maybe someone will want to hear your opinion about it or start a chat there. Maybe you, of course, want to hear my opinion about the situation as well. And it just brings further discussion to the the context of everything that's going on. So let me speak to everybody, and then we're going to talk about the network, and then we'll go ahead and move into it if you don't mind. I'm on a network now, so I got to pay the bills. If that's what we're doing. And let me congratulate one of my colleagues that works for that is part of the NGBN network, which is Sideline Sports. Eric Young, who today broadcasted live from the National Scouting Combine, where you have a bunch of guys who are just trying to make the next level. I put it on the Big Time Show page earlier today. Bunch of guys who are not a part of the Indianapolis scouting combine, the NFL scouting combine, but there are a lot of scouts there that were there today. And they'll be there tomorrow as well. So I put it on my page tomorrow if you're interested. Names that you probably don't know, names that you probably not aware of. But the scouts are there. So they're looking for talent on today. Before I get to it, let me speak to everybody because y'all took the time to put a comment down. I'm gonna speak. Miss Ty's in the building, yes. Mr. Thomas Garrett is here. Isaiah, what's going on, man? The King is here. East Side, of course. Michael Breedlove, Coach Breedlove. What's going on? What's going on? What just happened to my background right there? I don't know. It just changed on me. That's trash. What just happened there? I mean, if we gonna do this thing, we gotta do it right. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna keep rolling. That's what happened when you're on live TV. Things happen. Okay. Metris, what's going on? Joe is in the building. What's going on? Mr. James Golly, what's going on? Shane, my man, what's going on? Mr. Hill is in the building. What's going on tonight? Welcome everybody to the Big Time Show on tonight. Let's go ahead and start this thing off right. The NGBN.TV network is doing amazing things, as I just said. Most of you know, if you watch, at least if you follow my page, we just got the network just finished working the Super Bowl on press row. So we're had an amazing week there for media week, and then on today, the network is the national broadcast partner of the scouting combine that just started on today, and I'll put it on my page tomorrow and share. So you guys can see some talent really going after it, doing drills, running 40s, working. They have a game on Thursday, an actual game on Thursday. You get to see them practice. Some of these guys may have a chance to make the league. So, and scouts are there and people are there watching. They have their eyes there. Somebody's trying to make, their name known to get drafted. So it's huge. It's huge. And for this network to be a part of it, is simply outstanding, especially when you consider the fact that this network, we're still in our sneak peek. We just launched. We just launched just a few weeks ago, and we're already a part of the Super Bowl, and now we're a part of this network as far as the scouting combine goes. So it's growing quite fairly. But the mission of this channel is to simply save men's lives between the ages of 40 and 60. As I always say, and it's true, the depression is real, mental health is real, and yes, even suicide is real. You'll be surprised to know the number of men that want to take their lives in this age group. And what this network is trying to do is just be an outlet, in some type of way. We're just trying to contribute anything to knock the numbers down. And so there are a variety of shows that are on this network that can possibly do that. We have entertainment, we have fitness, we have mental health shows, we have inspirational shows, we have all type cooking shows, hunting shows. I mean, fishing shows. Whatever we can, however way we can reach people, we're just trying to throw our hat in the ring and trying to make sure that we can get somebody to make it to the next day. And that's about as plain as I could put it. I hope that you guys will support us. All you have to do is download the app to your phone if you have an Android phone. We'll be on iPhone in a couple of days. But for now, it's on Android, it's on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, as well as, did I say Roku? Yes, Roku as well. All you have to do is just download that to your phone. It's a free app. It's free. So all you have to do is just download it. That would benefit this just your presence would benefit this network tremendously. But there's more information on it. Hopefully you can and I have a little video here to help explain it better. Let's do that and then we'll get back into Cowboy talk. Here we go.
Not wait any longer. Men are in need of community, brotherhood, and a place to call home. The time is now, and that place is NGBN TV, powered by men just like you, dedicated to launching a one-of-a-kind streaming TV network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. Our goal is to inspire, entertain, celebrate, educate, and support men. The NGBN TV sneak peek is launching January 29th. We need you on this journey with us. Ad rates at NGBN TV will never be this low again. So join our movement on ngbn.tv and contact us today. NGBN TV, a network for men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, coming January 29th.
All right. Hopefully they'll give you the information. I hope that you guys, especially all the followers of the show, would download that to your phone. You still can watch me wherever you're watching me now. And you can do that with no issue, no problem whatsoever. I got to get smaller here. My face is too big on this picture. Yeah, I like that better. All right. Thankful to all of you guys who are here. I appreciate you guys being here with me on tonight. Let's talk Cowboys. That's why you're here. That's why I'm here. Let's go ahead and talk about this thing. Forgive me for my background here. I don't know what is going on with my stuff here. I have no idea, no clue what is going on, but we're going to keep moving. I was sitting real pretty at first, and then all of a sudden, live TV just zapped me out. I don't know, but here I am. All right. I'm gonna do the freestyle afterwards. Let me talk about these couple things first, and then we'll do a little freestyle, and let's just see how this carries for the night. You know, the road to the Super Bowl or the road to your next season starts immediately after your last game. That's when the next season starts right after that. You know, some teams make coaching changes immediately. the season has started. Then you have, players at a certain time have to be cut, released, or franchise tagged, or those type of things. That happens rather quickly. We're getting ready to go through that in a couple of weeks in March. So the season, it don't start on the first game. It starts right now in the off season, and this is where we are. And football players, and really any sport, it's almost superstitious. Like it's like players have their routines that they do, and if it's not right, it kind of lingers, and it almost is contagious. It almost it lingers on to other players, and things that people do or say can get into a building and can really set things, you know, to the direction of going the right way, or it can also lead you down the wrong way. Um, and for the first time in a few years, there's a whole lot of talking going on already, and um, it's not you know you would expect this from some individuals in the franchise, and then there are some that are shocking us with some of the things that they're saying. And that's the bad news. That's the bad news. I want to talk about first some good news. Slight good news that just came out recently, that don't know how much, but it's some good news that is there. And it's this: it seems as if Jimmy Johnson, Coach Johnson, is, from what he says, and I'm getting ready to show you in a second, he is now on the advisory board for the Jones family, Jerry Jones. He supposedly is on the Jones. I mean, he's there supposedly. It's good news because anytime you add a champion, anytime that you add a champion, someone that knows the game, someone that knows how to get it done, and you add that voice, don't know how much authority it is, but anytime you add that type of voice to the locker room or to the front office, then it only makes your organization better. It does not make your organization worse. Notice I said he's on the advisory board. He's not a coach. He's on the advisory board. That's what he says. Now, we don't know if that means Jerry goes to him to talk to him a whole lot. Could mean he does, could mean that he doesn't. But it's good to have Jimmy in the building. Let's just say that. After all these years and after all of this, the heartbreak. And, now that I'm saying that, now let's go back to halftime of the Green Bay playoff game. Most of us heard how passionate Jimmy Johnson was when we were getting our brains kicked in by the Packers, and everybody saw how red in the face Jimmy Johnson got, how ticked off he seemed. Well, according to this, and I'll bring it in now. According to this, it seems as if Jimmy's been there a while. This is Jimmy Johnson talking. He says, since the Ring of Honor, I'm on his advisory board now. So, of course, we played the Detroit game. He was on the advisory board according to what he says. right after the Detroit game. So the playoff game, Jimmy Johnson was supposedly on the board. Johnson said to, let me look at this in a big one. My eyes are a little small. I hope you guys can see that. He said, Johnson said to Joe Rose on WQAM 560 AM in Miami. He said, we were talking on the phone for about an hour after his Green Bay loss. And he was talking about what all he needed to do because he had big decisions on Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn and Dak Prescott. Everything is hunky-dory now. I am back in the fold with the Cowboys. That's what Jimmy Johnson has said. Jimmy says he's back in the fold. But interesting enough, if what Jimmy Johnson says is true, then kudos to Jerry for talking to Jimmy and, talking and communicating on what needs to be done. Now, that don't necessarily mean that he's going to do it, but it's good to know that Jerry is possibly listening to somebody. That's the way that you have to look at it. That somebody other than somebody in that room, other than his son, Steven, he's listening to a man that is responsible for him having 2 rings, and some would argue and say all his rings, because we all know Barry Switzer coached Jimmy Johnson's team. So he's listening. That I give kudos to that. But it's interesting what he said, though. If this is what Jimmy said, he said that he got some big decisions to make on Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn and Dak Prescott. Now, I wonder now. See, this goes all the way back to what I have to say, because on my show, I've been saying that Jerry Jones don't have no choice but to pay Dak Prescott. Why do you? It ain't no decisions being made. That's what I'm saying. You ain't got but one decision, but to pay him. That's what I've been saying. I've been saying that for a long time. So he brought up Mike McCarthy, and that was a rough one. Now I don't know what Jimmy said. We don't know what Jimmy said about that. We have no clue to what Jimmy said. He very well could have said, you probably need to keep McCarthy. It's too much of a change. He really didn't have to make a decision for Dan Quinn, because Dan Quinn ended up making the decision for him. So there wasn't no decision that had to be made. The decision was already made. It was already gone. Got another shot. But I find it very interesting that Jerry told Jimmy that he has a decision to be made about Dak Prescott. That is worth another whole show by itself. Now that I'm talking about it. Because I just said I don't think that there's a need for a decision. You only got one. If you don't pay him or extend him, he's $54 million against the salary cap. You won't be able to do nothing. You can't trade him because he has a no trade clause. You have to extend him to bring the salary cap down. It's a no-brainer to me. So I don't know. That's a very interesting take. But anyway, the real, Meechers, 59. I'm sorry, $59 million. I mean, I don't know what decision Jerry has to make other than to pay him. Now, the decision could be, is he going to offer him the amount of money to make him a top 3, or maybe the highest paid? Maybe that's that. Maybe that, and a lot of that is going to be dictated by Dak and his agent. It's not going to be, the way I look at it. Dak has the Jones family in the corner. That's the way I look at it. He's got all the leverage. No trade clause. He counts as $59 million against the cap. In order to bring the cap down, you have to extend them. I mean, Dak has all the leverage. I don't know What decision does he have to make other than to pay him? Can't cut him. You can't franchise him. Because if you cut him, you got to pay. He still counts on your salary cap. So I don't know what that. I don't know what that was. But he said it. He leaned on Jimmy, and at least he's in the building. He's on the board. So Jimmy is in the board. That's the good news. Yes, that's what we're talking about now. That's what we're talking about now, Joe. It's good to have him involved. If he wants to be involved, certainly Jimmy Johnson knows how to build a team. He does. And so I'm very happy to have Jimmy at least in his ear. And I'm hoping that he's in his ear when it comes to the draft and free agency. I hope that he allows Jimmy to put his 2 cents in what's going on with that. Yeah. Hey, JD, I see JD. So big time, not necessarily on that. Contracts can be tricky. If Jerry wanted to, he can push the cap money into avoid the years and lower his number this year. Of course, with McCarthy and Dak on final years, he could be thinking seriously all in or nothing. You gotta do a lot of work on that pushing that money back though. You gotta get real creative. You're gonna have to front Dak a whole lot of money in order to make that happen. And you very well may not want to extend them. I get it. If that's what you want to do, but in order to get that cap low, you're gonna have to do something. You're really gonna have to do something to get that done. So, yeah, exactly. JD comeback says it's an option if he didn't extend them. I think that they will, just for the simple fact they will have the ability to manipulate everything and also free up money, not only by Dak's contract but others too. And if they done their homework, if they studied the contracts of Mahomes and maybe Burrow and Allen, maybe they can combine all those efforts and can get some, be able to be flexible with the salary cap. That seems like the easiest way to do it. But if they're just gonna try to prove it year, things are gonna get a little tricky there. So, hey, Jacob, Master Tyron Smith wants to return to Cowboys in 2024. He says, I don't. I ain't gonna even lie to you. And Tyron had another All-Pro year. He did. But at this point, just like all the other years, it's just too shaky. You gotta keep in mind the man. He lasted this year, and it was because he wasn't practicing. They came up with a game plan that obviously helped his body, and he played pretty well. But he still was missing games, and he was hurting himself in practice. And I'm like, God dang, man, this dude here, he keeps fighting, and I'm quite sure because Tyron Smith is one of their guys, drafted and been a Cowboy all his life. I'm quite sure they are not going to let him walk. He's still at an All-Pro level, and they're going to let him play, which also means you better make sure that you got some depth in your offensive line, because we all know Tyron Smith will not play no more than maybe, 18 games in a year. So, 17 games. Sorry, he might make 12 if they keep him, like he is now. He's gonna miss games. It's not a question of if. It's just when with him. So I personally think it's time to move on. Sometimes we hold on to these guys just a little bit too long. We've seen this too many times with Jason Witten. We've seen it with Sean Lee. Those type of guys. We've seen it. We're seeing it now with LVE. Guys that it is what it is. You got to move on. got to move on. So, sometimes in some positions we need to start preparing for the future. In some positions, we do need to start go ahead and get ready. Some of the guys are all some of the answers. Could be in the building already. To be honest with you, some of our backups are somewhat starters now. Uh, they have earned, in my view, guys like Hoffman. If you're talking about getting rid of Tyler Biotis, I think Hoffman can fill in right there immediately. I know we want to go online and go get the kid from Oregon, a rookie, and get younger. I get it, but Hoffman is young too, and he played well. Maybe he just needs the shot. We need find another left tackle since they're committed. It looks like to keeping Tyler Smith at left guard. You might need to start looking at another tackle. We've been saying that for the last 2-3 years though, and they did. They drafted Tyler Smith, who was a tackle, but they just converted him over to being a guard. I really think some of the answers may be very well in the building. TJ Bass played well. Hoffman played well. I think those guys should be in the mix for a considerable starting position when it's time. But if Tyron is coming back, you better just let me know we're drafting the linemen as we should anyway. We're gonna be drafting some linemen in the draft. That's all they tell me. If Tyron is coming back. And Tyron does, and in fairness to him, he deserves to go out his way. He's earned the right. He's earned the right to go out his way. I want to be fair to him. He's a walking Hall of Famer, a great player. He deserves to go out the way that he wants to go out. So I'm not knocking him for that. I'm not. I say let him go, but he's got enough equity built up that he gets to be a Cowboy. No question about it. No question. All right. So I applaud Jimmy. I applaud Jerry for allowing Jimmy to be in the building or at least on the phone where he has, the ability to discuss and get Jerry back on track or way, because Jimmy is a winner. He only knows one way. So, there's evidence that Jimmy knows what he's talking about. There are 2 banners that he put up in the stadium saying they were the best, the world champions for those years. He knows what he's doing. So I'm not gonna argue with Jimmy. And I applaud Jerry for talking to him or listening, according to what Jimmy says. So it's huge. Not a bad side. Not a bad side. Now here comes the bad side about all this. The real bad side. It's too much talking going on. It really is. I don't like it already. See, the worst thing that happened for this franchise so far is that our biggest superstar has fell in love with the same thing that I'm doing now. Of course, he does it on a much higher level, and that is podcast or got a microphone in his mouth. He loves it. That's the worst thing that could happen. But you know what makes it worse is that he's such a great player early in his career that you really can't say nothing to him. Because they don't want to tick him off. They don't want to tick him off at all. See, there are some players that you whatever they want to do, you're going to let them do that. We have some players in the league like that. We do. Patrick Mahomes, nobody can tell him nothing. in the Kansas City organization? Nobody. Nobody. Now, they stopped him from playing basketball. I give him credit for that. Patrick Mahomes can play. Mahomes can ball. Play back. He can play baseball. His father was a baseball player. He can play basketball with the best of them. I'm talking about handle the ball, shoot the ball, got all the moves. He can do that. Kansas City heard him and put that athlete type contract on him and say, you can't do this. You see what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes is one of them. Lamar Jackson has Baltimore like that. They live and die with him. Lamar Jackson has that type. Can't do nothing with him. There are a few players that have that. You got to be on a certain level to do what you want to do, even though the organization may not like it, but they can't say nothing to you because you're that great, you're that good. Micah Parsons is one of those guys. But Micah Parsons, and we can't knock nothing on the field. At least I'm not going to knock nobody on the field. I'm not going to knock him because it's hard to argue with a guy who's been in the league 3 years and he's been an all-pro every year. You know, I mean, look, what else you want him to do? I understand we want the stats in the games and all that kind of stuff, but for when you do the total body of work, you can't argue with Micah Parsons and what he's done. It's kind of hard. He's a great football player, and he's still just learning. He ain't learned it all yet. He's still learning. He's a dominant football player. But because of his dominance and because he's so great and because he literally backs it up on the field, I know they cringing, but they ain't going to say nothing to Mike. They're not going to say nothing to Micah Parsons. And because of that, Micah Parsons lately, and for me, maybe not for you, but for me, he's been talking a little bit too much. He has been. I don't like some of the things that I'm hearing from him, and then I don't like who he's sharing it with. I don't like it. I don't like it. Y'all don't believe me? Y'all don't believe me? Listen.
Up how you want to be a part of the culture in terms of picking the kind of players that y'all need. Is that something that you mentioned to Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, like, yo, let me play a role at who are we bringing on this squad? Mentally, do you approach them about stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's what I like about Jay, and which I was dope. I think Jay's one of the best GM, like, owners that I've been around. And not even just I've been around because I've only been on one team. But from what I've heard from other NBA and NFL players, and it's just like this, the Super Bowl, Jerry sees me walking out the win. Jerry was at the win. He says, hey, you going to the Super Bowl? I said, yeah, I'm going. He said, come see us. And I was like, hey, you got any extra tickets? You know, I got some homeboys that want to come. Jerry sends me 4 extra tickets to the Super Bowl suite. And we just sit and talk from before the game until the whole half about players I want to bring in, players I want to be around, who do I need, who do I want to be with, future of our team. And that's just dope to have that type of feedback with an owner that, you know, loves to hear your ideas and what you think and where the team can be. And, you know, Jerry's been, you know, pretty amazing about that with my family and stuff like that. So I've had them conversations with him, and we spoke for 2-3 hours just in the Super Bowl alone.
When you told him what you thought the team needed, what did you say? I'm not asking for names. I'm talking about what you alluded to when it comes to culture, personality, etc. What specifically were your words to Jerry about what the Dallas Cowboys are missing and what they need?
So I told Jerry, I said, look at every team that kind of was in that Final Four. Who do they have?
City, San Francisco, Detroit.
Okay. Who did Baltimore have? A great linebacker core, right? Who did San Fran have? Great linebacker core. KC, Bolton, and they came along. I said we need to get another bigger linebacker who's going to come down and I said we need to get a super 330 nasty interior. Look how Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave caused havoc in the last 2 games. Look at how Ali McNeil, Detroit, and they front with Hutchinson and all them. It's just certain things where I was pinpointing we can build in this because we're slim. Like we have guys, and I think Osa's been great for us, and but we just need a big old 330 can't move. Because I saw the way Chris Jones affected that Super Bowl, and I was like, my God, like
Need a big boy. Get fast and clogging up the line of scrimmage. Making things happen, right?
And not even just Chris Jones, Mike Pennell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think we got a lot of rushers. I think Osa, he could play inside, outside, one of the most versatile DTs. And, when we lost Hank, he's a big dude. But we need to get one of them big old, nasty, pass rushing, get going.
Some would argue and say, what did he do wrong? Some would say that. You probably need to listen to the whole thing. Most of you have, I already know. That clip, I didn't like it because of who he was talking to. See what I'm saying? I didn't like what he was. And see, you got to be tricky. So you got to be tricky when you put Micah Parsons. And see, I see the bigger picture, and maybe y'all don't see it this way, and it's okay because I can line 10 people up and I say, hey, give me your analysis of what you just saw with Micah Parsons. I'm gonna have 10 different answers. So ain't nobody wrong or right, but let me just give you what I'm saying. See, I don't like that you giving, if we want to get biblical, it says don't cast your pearls to swine. And when it comes to Dallas Cowboy stuff, we all know where Stephen A. Smith stands. And you got to be careful when you're dealing with that because that film will be brought up again. See, this is the way I'm saying it. If the Jones family don't give Micah Parsons what he is asking for since Jerry, I guess since he said Micah has no business of lying, if Jerry asked him, what's your ideas, what you think we need and all that kind of stuff, you're essentially you're listening, but because of the status that he has on the team, you're really almost giving him power. And the reason why I'm saying you're giving him power, because we all know Jerry ain't gonna do what he want to do anyway. Just because you ask for it, that don't mean you're going to get it. But I'm coming from the standpoint of, what if Micah Parsons don't get what he asking for? Got a big contract. His time is coming up to get paid. If he don't give him what he needs, I've heard rumors, over the last couple of years saying, that he's from Philly, and if he feel like he can't win, he just might go somewhere else. And that's and that's gonna come up again. Trust me, that's gonna come up again. What Micah Parsons say, what he wants, and all that kind of stuff. If you listen to the whole interview, Micah Parsons talked way too much when he shot down DeMarcus Lawrence. Some things are meant for the locker room And then there's some things that are not meant for the media. Stephen A. Smith is a professional journalist. Doing it for over 30 years. He's earned the right to get what he has at ESPN. He's got the biggest salary there. Stephen A. is the man at ESPN. If you let him go, ESPN goes down. You take Stephen A. off First Take. First Take is no longer the top show. Undisputed to take back over. You keep Stephen A. there, they're the number one show for the last 12 years. Stephen A. is the man. Everybody know that in ESPN. But he also is a cowboy hater. He asked the question because he's a little bit more advanced in the area of interviewing, in the area of journalism than Micah Parsons is. So he knew exactly what to ask him because he didn't even have to get skillful with it. He just asked him about DeMarcus Lawrence, and it put Micah on the straight on. I don't think Micah is a guy that comes straight from the heart, which can be beneficial, and it also can be a liability. He asked him about what DeMarcus Lawrence said. Y'all probably saw it. He put DeMarcus Lawrence under the bus. You can't say that you're tired. You can't say that you fatigued. We the Dallas Cowboys. We get everybody Super Bowl. We can't say that. And that's an excuse. What? You can't say that. You can't say that. That's your brother you talking about. You gotta protect your brother from the guy who hates the Cowboys. Oh, they ate that up. All that's coming up again. Micah is great, but Micah is talking too much. Season ain't even started. All that's gonna come up again. DeMarcus Lawrence is gonna have to answer questions just about that. What did you think of Micah Parsons' response to your comment saying that you were fatigued and we were burnt out? DeMarcus Lawrence gonna have to answer for that. He gonna have to answer because you know they're going, and that causes, and I'm quite sure it's been some type of communication by now between Micah and DeMarcus. At least I hope it has been. But all this is gonna come back. We don't have to be. We shouldn't have to be answering that kind of question when the guys come together in training camp. We shouldn't be answering that, but we're gonna have to answer it now. Those are called, ladies and gentlemen, distractions. That's what you call putting tension into the locker room. That's what you call causing mess in the locker room. And a team need to be, look, we need to be at least on the same page, as much as possible. Seriously. I heard Micah Parsons on his podcast with CD saying, I got to be a leader. I got to change the culture. That's what Michael was saying. I have to change the culture. I have to take over. CD says I had to become more of a vocal leader. I gotta step up so Dak won't have all this on his shoulders. I got to do something. I got to become more of a leader. It sounds good on the surface, but here's my question. You weren't even the captain on the team anyway. And you the best player. There were guys that were voted to be captains on the team who probably, since they were captains last year, will probably be captains again this year. One of those captains was DeMarcus Lawrence. How you gonna take over DeMarcus? If anything, you can share in the responsibility. You can't take over unless the leader gives it to you. You can't take over DeMarcus Lawrence. Yes, he's a better player than DeMarcus Lawrence at this point, but you can't take over him. You see, this is that kind of small stuff that will cause problems. I'm serious, y'all. Now, y'all think, look, it's that type of stuff. In other words, you're talking too much. Because see, if you was that type of leader, you would have done that after your first All-Pro season, which was his first year. Because nobody wouldn't said anything. You know, you the man. You can't wait 3 years and then all of a sudden say, I'm the man. I'm Ray Lewis now. I'm the Ray Lewis. No, you're not. No, you're not. The team didn't even vote you as a captain last year. You were the best player on the team. They ain't vote you that way. So no. And on Mike McCarthy's leadership council, he has that on his team. Micah Parsons was not even on the leadership council. That was Zach Martin. That was DeMarcus Lawrence. That was Dak Prescott. And somebody else that was on. I forgot the other guy. But it wasn't Micah Parsons. Now all of a sudden you're going to bogart your way. You're talking too much. And I see what JD just said, saying Zimmer will clean it up. No, he won't. I don't think he can. I don't think he can. I'm quite sure that it's already been approved by the Jones family for him to keep going on his podcast. I'm quite sure Micah Parsons got permission to be on doing his podcast during the season. It was a distraction then. Even though he produced on the field, I'm quite sure the Cowboys had something to say about it and say, hey, look, go ahead. Go ahead. You got it. If it was a big problem, the Cowboys would have shut it down. At least I think. So that's already in gear. Mike McCarthy would have said something. Jerry Jones would have said something. They didn't say nothing. The man was doing podcasts after every win, after every loss. Mike Zimmer ain't coming in and changing none of that. Only thing Mike Zimmer gonna do is get in his butt a little bit. He's gonna get in his butt a little bit more, maybe. And you got to be real careful how you do that. Because I don't know how Micah Parsons take, a hard coach. I don't know that yet. A lot of coaches would stay away from hollering at or getting in somebody's grill like that. We don't know really how Zimmer gonna change. We don't know. I would think that Zimmer will stay consistent, and I think Micah Parsons, to be honest with you, I believe Micah Parsons will accept hard coaching. I believe it. That's part of the culture change he's talking about. But Micah is doing way too much talking for me. I'm sorry. And even though it's the off season, see, my proposal would be that Micah wouldn't do his podcast during the season at all. I said off season, then he can do it. And the funny part is he's saying all this stuff in the off season. But he's saying the wrong things. He's saying the wrong things, at least in my book. See, if I'm DeMarcus Lawrence, I'm texting him immediately, say, hey man, we need to talk. We need to talk about this. Because it sounds like you're coming at me. And if you are, then I need to get a clear understanding of what you mean. Because, I put it all on the line. And then they can hammer that out then. That's what I would be doing if I was DeMarcus, because you just can't blast me out. And I'm your brother. You see what I'm saying? You just can't go against me. You just can't. Even though some of the stuff that Michael was saying is right. I'm not trying to kill his context of what he's saying. Some of that stuff he's saying is 1,000% right. But just because it's 1,000% correct what he's saying, it don't mean you get to air it out. Some things need to stay in the house. And there's some things that may need to slip out of the house. What Micah is saying is supposed to be in the house. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with his talking. I got a serious problem with it. I don't like it. I don't like what I'm seeing there. Now, that's really all I got to say about that. And I'm quite sure that's another whole show within itself. Finally, and then I'll open up the lines and I'll either let you guys take over the chat like you're doing now and we'll talk what you're talking in the chat, or you can call in a minute. But let me say this last thing on my bullet points here. We're at the point that because of failures with this team as far as postseason goes, mixed in with the great regular seasons we've had, and then when you factor in, even though the Cowboys are predominantly young, but some of our better players are older. They're getting a little long in the tooth, and sooner or later, you have to start making some decisions, and then the organization has to make a decision on whether they still believe they got a shot at this thing, or it's time to go ahead and bust it up. And we're at a very critical point in the process now of this team. And what I'm talking about is the team now that has been together for, a lot of them have been together for, at least 6-7 years. Definitely 4 to 5 at least. And the window for winning, especially when you have a team that's won 12 games, 3 straight years, a team that you figure is good at least, and they're close. Some would say that, some would say they're the same old Cowboys. Some would say we need maybe 1 or 2 things, and that'll get us over the hump. And then you got some will say, hey, it is what it is. You've gotten all what you can get out of this group. Let's go ahead and start preparing to bust it up. And so I believe the Cowboys believe that they're very close. I believe that they figure that they need to do something, and I'm saying they need to do something differently in order to get over that hump. Which leads to this question, because the way of the Cowboys has been to draft and develop. That's been the system. They value their draft picks. They don't want to trade none of them. I get that last year we traded picks for Gilmore and Cooks. I get that, but that's a rarity. It don't happen often. Other than that, we keep every draft pick from first round all the way to 7th round. That's what we usually do. What they have avoided is the free agency market, at least on day 1 or day 2. Cowboys do free agency on day 8, day 7. Guys you ain't never heard of. They're just filling in for depth, not impact. All the impact guys go in the first 2 to 3 days in free agency. Cowboys never do that because they don't want to pay no money. That's Stephen Jones' category. So here's my question to you guys, and I think I'd already know what the answer is, and this is where the chat kind of gonna take over. I think we're at the point where they either, and some of you have put it in the chat already, some of you are talking about this all-in thing, but you got to keep in mind our version of all-in and the Cowboys version of all-in is quite different. And I'm saying that because of Stephen Jones. See, it's just hard for me to believe all of a sudden he just finna spend money. It's just hard for me. I believe that they might, I just can't see it. Stephen Jones is just going to have to prove me completely wrong. He is. He's going to have to show me that he's really going to have to do it wrong. He's going to have to change it real quick and see, what I just don't believe it. Hey to all of you guys that were on Instagram earlier. I'm sorry I didn't come to your comments as well. I'm having a hard time believing in it. But we are at the critical point, y'all, that if we just need a couple players, and I'm thinking impact players, you're gonna have to go to free agency. It's really that simple. And I ain't talking about on day 8. I'm talking about like day 1, day 2. Those are the players that can get you over the hump. And it ain't in the draft. It's not. It's not. Because the reason why I'm saying that is because when you really look at the Cowboys team, offensively and defensively, that's 22 positions. How many really open spots are there? Let's go down the list. Dak Prescott, that's your quarterback. There's no question. That spot ain't open. Okay. The running back position is open. I'll give you that one. The wide receiver, that's closed deal. CeeDee Lamb is your number 1 receiver. Brandon Cooks is still here. His contract is still here. He's your number 2. It's just that simple. Michael Gallup, I feel, should leave. So the way I look at it is a third receiver probably is open. Yes, if he leave. Offensive line. Since y'all say Tyron Smith is coming back, that's your starting left tackle. No doubt about that. Tyler Smith is your starting left guard. No doubt about that. Biotish, I believe, is going to leave. That opens up a spot at the center position. Zach Martin is your right guard, no doubt. And I believe Terrence Steele, off of knee injury, will come back better next year than he did. And even if he doesn't, you got Lyle Collins there. They're going to give him every opportunity to do it. So really, you're not, if you draft linemen, you're drafting for depth, with the exception of the center position. Everything else is pretty much, other than the running back, center and running back. That's only 2 positions. 9 already filled. Jake Ferguson is your tight end. Go defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, if he's back, DeMarcus Lawrence your end. OC is there. That's your DT. If Hankins is there, he could be there. Mozzie is still there. I mean, if you draft a defensive tackle in the first round, like you drafted Mozzie, does that really mean he's going to get all the playing time? No. Mozzie didn't get it. I mean, what spots are really open? If Parsons plays in, that's your starter. Keep in mind, Overshown is coming back. The linebacker is wide open. I give you that. All the way through. All the way through. Exception, I think Damone Clark is going to start. I believe Overshown is going to have something to say there. I mean, and then in the secondary, it ain't nothing open. Nothing. Nothing is open in the secondary. If Gilmore comes back, he's not coming to sit on the bench. He's going to start. Iggs will be back. He's going to start. Bland will move back to the slot. He's going to be your third cornerback. Sometime your second cornerback, depending on what formation you're in. Your safeties are Hooker. Your safety is Donovan Wilson. I don't think Curse is coming back. Wanye Thomas needs to play. I mean, what spots are open? So if you're talking about making a difference, the difference ain't coming through the draft. It's not. If you want to go special teams, you got a kicker and a punter. So, I mean, both all pros. Stop it. What? You got a spot maybe over for a kickoff returner, maybe. Punt returner, maybe. I just named, when you add in special teams, I just named at least over 25 positions, at least, the real special positions on special teams. I think I only counted maybe 4 spots maybe. That's up for a battle? Really? You got to go get me a difference maker. That's where free agency come into play. So my question is to you tonight, Because a lot of y'all think that we should build through the draft, but we're at this critical point now in the organization where you can lean one way and start over again. I ain't saying strip everything down, or you can add on a real difference maker, and then let's go ahead and play football again and see if we can get over the hump. That's my question to you guys. Fire away. And as you fire away, which one is better? At least for next year. Is it through the draft? And the draft is going to be important. We still need, excuse me, we still need depth. So yeah, we need to draft for depth. I get that. But I'm talking about getting past 12 wins. I'm talking about getting past the divisional round. I'm talking about possibly make an NFC Championship game and maybe even, yes, a Super Bowl. Is it the draft this year, like we always have done? Or are we finally going to dip into free agency day one or day two? Which one do you feel is best for this team coming up? Fire away. And as you fire away, hit that like button for me, y'all. Y'all hit that like button for me. If you're on YouTube, hit that heart button. If you're on Facebook, hit that like button. Give me about 14 or 15. Give me about 14 or 15 of them. Which one is better? Which one is better? Because this is a critical point in the. I mean, it's almost this. The window is not wide open. The window is not wide open. It's closing. And since we say all in, yeah. I just want to know what do you guys think about what's the best way for this next season, since I feel like the window is closing. What is your definition, not your definition, but do you think we need to be dipping into free agency this year? In other words, you're gonna have to spend some money, which is what Stephen Jones traditionally has been allergic to. He's been allergic to it. Andrew Jones, I see you. He says that free agency this year, not a difference. Go to the draft. And when I'm saying free agency, you got to make an offer, because the guys are going to, talk to more than one team. You're going to have to give them something to think about when they leave your building. If you had it your way, you could invite them to Dallas and keep them there and don't allow them to get out of your building, because you offer them a offer that they just can't refuse. See what I'm saying? So that you're going to have to bid. It's more than one team that want Derrick Henry. Let me just put it that way. It's more than one team that's going to be willing to pay Derrick Henry. Are you willing to make that happen? Because it's going to take cash. I appreciate you, Joe. I see you. Good night over there in Italy. Appreciate the super chat, Andrew Jones. I don't know what your super chat was, but I believe you said free agent this year and not a difference, go to the draft. But the difference makers are there in free agency. But well, Keith, as far as Jones, Kansas City is gonna franchise him. They're gonna franchise him. I ain't opened up the lines yet. If that's somebody calling with the line, you gonna, if you're talking about now, if you saying, well, we just gonna draft a running back, a real good one, a thumper or whatever, and there's some in college, and we're gonna roll with that and go get another running back, and we're gonna have a brand new 1-2 punch or whatever, then hey, God bless the young man that's gonna be a rookie running back and going to have a significant part of the field. That's not the way I want to go, but if that's, that'll be the Cowboys' way. I get it. That don't mean you can't run the ball. Traditionally, the running back is easiest position to get acquainted to rather quickly because you just running. You finding the hole, you get in there, you got speed, you can, you're a banger, that's fine. The only thing that you have to make the transition is pass protection. Can you block? Okay? But I'm saying go get a real difference maker that immediately the defense got to respect. Somebody is everybody's putting down Derrick Henry. But if you think the Dallas Cowboys is going to be the only name coming after Derrick Henry, you crazy. And you have to respect that man when you offer a contract. I see you, Daryl, Josh Jacobs. You're going to have to respect these guys. If you really, because it's going to be a bidding war. It is. And if you really want to make the difference, you're going to have to approach it. You're going to have to really approach it. Because they know they're in need. Derrick Henry is still Derrick Henry. A little injured now, slightly, but he still is a needle mover. Josh Jacobs, who just led the league in rushing 2 years ago. I mean, Christian McCaffrey led it this year. Josh Jacobs was the leading rusher in the league. Hey, Jeremiah, I see you, brother. What's up with you? Listen, you're going to have to make, if now, of course, this is what we're thinking. Cowboys could be thinking something totally different. But if let's just assume they got their eyes on day 1, day 2 guys. You're going to have to, you can't disrespect these guys. Remember now, we brought in Bobby Wagner for an interview and didn't even offer him a contract. What? Didn't even offer him a contract. And maybe that's because Bobby Wagner told him what his expectations were and they just automatically knew they couldn't do nothing with it. Maybe that's the case. I'm saying to get these guys on board, you're going to have to do something out of the ordinary if you really want them, if that's the case. So, I like I said, we'll know, as Shane said, we'll know when free agency gets started. We'll have a clear definition by their actions of what all in really means. Or is it just going to be the same old, just get ready for the draft? Or is it going to be, yeah, we're going to get free agents, like we always do. Day 8, day 8 or something like that. Is it going to be the same old story? We'll know then. But because of past performance and past reactions by particularly Stephen Jones, and you might as well say Jared too, because since he say he has the final say, because of that, we already can kind of predict what's going on because this is all what we've seen. This is all what we have seen. The cheap way. That's all we've seen. Then somebody gonna say, well, we got Brandon Cooks and we got Stephon Gilmore. Yeah, we got them, but that was through trades. That was not through free agency. It was through trades. That don't count. That don't count. We got to do. If you're talking about possibly trying to get a world championship out of this, the way we've been doing it ain't getting it done. So you got to try something different, especially since we already have done it and got to these little certain points and ain't got nowhere. You got to try. If you really trying, you got to do something different. The draft ain't gonna get it. That's not the way to get it. Talking about we got depth everywhere. We done that. We've done the depth thing. So these guys can stay fresh. You got to have depth, a lot of depth. So these guys can have it. We've done all that. I'm not saying you don't supposed to have depth. We've done it. What has it gotten us? Nothing. See what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just saying. We're at that point. If you're really talking about winning, you're gonna have to do something different. And I'm just not so sure. It's kind of like, see, I don't put too much into it because, see, I heard Mike McCarthy say right around this time last year and into the draft, we got to run the football. We have to run the football. It is a must. We're going to be a run first offense. We have to pound the football. That would get everything back together. That would help the defense out by prolonging the game, time of possession. It would help Dak out. If we have a very strong running game, Tony Pollard can do the job. We're going to run the football. We're going to run it with Rico, and we're going to run the ball, and we're going to do that. And they got out there from day one, just passing it all the way around. Yeah, Tony Pollard got 1,000 yards, but the style of play call was just horrible. Just bang him up the middle like he was Ziggy Elliott and all that. Just ridiculous. They were a passing football team. They were passing football. So I don't put much value into when, they say they're going all in because, like, I've been a Cowboy fan for a while, long time, and particularly these last 10 to 12 years, and I see how they attack free agency. I see how they spend money or lack of spending money. I know the philosophy, draft and develop and get a whole bunch of guys who are in the middle of their career or right at the end, and hope that you can get 1 or 2 years out of them, and just do the depth and draft and develop. That's been the style of the Dallas Cowboys, and it's just hard for me to believe that they're gonna do something just different. If you're not gonna get, and see, I'm not talking about spending all your money in free agency. I'm talking about getting maybe 1 to 2 difference makers. One, or if it's just one that you got to pay a whole lot of money to, so be it. Just get me a difference maker. I need a difference maker. I need a difference maker. And there's some that's gonna be lined up for free agency. There are some that's there. See, one guy, and I done said it too many times. One guy can change the whole thing. A Derrick Henry, for instance, would change everything. He would. Can you imagine a defensive coordinator trying to play the Dallas Cowboys with a Derrick Henry back there? You automatically will have 8 in the box. Automatically. Which means you're going to have one-on-one somewhere. Dak ain't never had that. Well, he did have it. And he lit up the league when he had Ezekiel Elliott all those years. You'll get that back. 8 in the box. Now you got CD one-on-one, or Cooks one-on-one, or Jake Ferguson one-on-one. That's a benefit. Derrick Henry, that even with that little run that he do up the middle, which you wouldn't do, because Derrick Henry ain't got no business in no shotgun formation. Derrick Henry needs to be 6-7 yards off the ball, get a running start, and bang it up in there. It changes everything. Can you imagine a 2 to 3 tight end set with Derrick Henry back there? Come on, man. He changes everything the way you play. You talking about time of possession? You put a Derrick Henry back there. You talking about giving the defense some rest? You talking about a red zone weapon with Derrick Henry? He changes everything. That's what you call a difference maker. Yeah, Shane, we talked about that earlier. Jimmy Johnson is part of the advisory board. I talked about that about the last first 10 minutes, I believe, of the show. Derrick Henry does that for your roster. He affects offense and defense. That's the type of difference maker I'm talking about. A Josh Jacobs would do the same thing. A Saquon Barkley would do the same thing. It's just not Derrick Henry. I'm just saying, if you want to make a difference, if you want to talk about going all in, that's what I'm talking about. Seriously. That's how much one man can change the whole team on all sides of the ball. Not gonna happen though, because Derrick Henry still commands a big salary. What did Tony Pollard get paid from the franchise tag? What was it? $8 million, I believe. $8-9 million. Well, you know Derrick Henry gonna command that. That's base minimum. That's minimum. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Tony Pollard got paid $10 million last year. Oh my God. What do you think Derrick Henry gonna ask for? And you know how Jones are when it comes to paying running backs. See what I'm saying? So I mean, I know I'm wishing upon a star with a Derrick Henry type, dream. Because Derrick Henry is gonna command that right there. $10 million. That's minimum. No, he's gonna ask for a little more. And the Cowboys ain't paying no running back. They stopped there with Ezekiel Elliott. We all know that. I know that. But sometimes if you want to get to the next level and you know this dude can get you to the next level, sometimes it costs you. Pay Dak, maneuver his contract around, maneuver some more of the guys' contract around, and you can get your $12 million to pay Derrick Henry. Give Dak his money up front with a gigantic signing bonus. Let his number on the cap only be maybe $2 million a year. You can do that. Restructure some more deals. You can get the $12 million ain't gonna be nothing. You can get it. The question is, are you gonna go against your philosophy of not paying running backs? That's really what it boiled down to. Do you want the Super Bowl or do you just want to make the playoffs again? And I know I'm wrong for saying Derrick Henry equals a Super Bowl, but it will be better if you add a Derrick Henry or a Derrick Henry type to this team, and saying, well, that's in the draft. No, I don't know that. I don't know. No, rookies don't do that. Rookies don't come in hitting 1,600 yards. They just don't do that. Their body ain't used to playing all those games. Their body's used to the college, high school schedule. They playing 5 to 6 more games. If they make the playoff, they playing at least another 8 to 10 games, almost 8 games more. Come on now. They ain't used to that. Adrian Peterson, like rookies, they don't grow on trees. Even the rookies that was good this year, they split time. The Gibbs kid from Alabama that played in Detroit, he split time with Montgomery. Nobody's a workhorse running back except Derrick Henry. Josh Jacobs was another one. I'm just saying, come on. William Q says $12 million this year if Tony Pollard is tagged. They ain't paying it. They're not paying it. They're not paying it. Shane says, until we fix the O-line, I don't care who is the running back. We have to develop the O-line to get physical again and get that push. Well, here's the thing, Shane. You don't know how physical the line is because you pass the ball all the time. Shoot. How can you get physical when your offensive line is going backwards in pass protection all the time? Please. I wasn't no consistent running game all year long. Wasn't running the ball like that. And it wasn't because they couldn't. It was the play calling. You had Dak in the shotgun majority of the time. And if he handed the ball off, it was a running play up the middle with Tony Pollard. I mean, you ain't breaking nothing there. I mean, most of the time it was just flat out passing the ball. Dak threw the ball 30 some odd times So many games. You see what I'm saying? So we don't know how physical it is, because if you run 6 plays and out of 6 plays you only ran it once, then how physical can your line be when you letting the defenders attack them? And you're not attacking you're not laying on these guys. You're not punching them. If you're going backwards, we don't know how physical the line can be. You didn't get into a consistency in the running game. That's what we said about Kellen Moore. We don't know how. We don't know. Shoot, Ezekiel Elliott was getting the ball 12 to 14 times a game. Tony would get it maybe about 8 or 9. Now, he cashed in when he got it in. That's what made Pollard so effective, because he was a change of pace back. But he really wasn't carrying the ball a whole lot. It just seemed like every time Tony touched the ball, it was a big play. And usually it was. But when you look at the end of the game and the stats, they wasn't running the ball a whole lot. It was rare. You know, you can count on one hand. And you can go back to the stats and look at that. Zeke Elliott wasn't getting no ball no more than 12, 13 times a game. That's it. 14. We ain't ran the ball like that. And God, since, geez, what? DeMarco Murray? Marion Barber? I mean, come on now. I don't know how physical my line can be. William Keefe says, trade for Aaron Donald, sign Patrick Queen, and that is impact. Yes, that's what you call impact, but you got to be realistic. Baltimore is not letting Patrick Queen go. No way. They are not letting Patrick Queen go. Donald, you know that, and that's all, and that depends on what you're gonna give away to go get them. See what I'm saying? The Rams may act, Donald still demands a package in a trade, for a trade. He still demands a huge package. It just depends on what it is. You ain't gonna get Donald for, kind of the way you got Brandon Cook. We'll just give you a 5th round pick. No. You got to give up something to get Aaron Donald. And you know how the Cowboys are. They ain't giving up nothing on that. I mean, but I agree with you. That's what you call impact. Yeah. 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 But if you're talking about going to the next level, this is what I think. You may think differently. This is what I think that needs to happen for us to get to the next level. That's what I'm thinking. And the history shows. I see you. I see Coach Cobb. They're talking about Henry to Baltimore. That's what I was saying. Hey, it is what it is. I get it. Derrick Henry is going to be a very sought after guy, and in order to get him, you are going to have to pay the price to go get him. It's just that simple. All right. You want to call in, you can now. Phone line is open. 901-654-6853. I got the phone on now. On right now. Call in right now. It's on the ticker there if you need to know the number. 654-6853. In the meantime, you guys have already lit up. Hey, well, let's take a pause for the calls. Everybody hit that like button for me again, if you don't mind. Hit that like button for me. And give me about 12 to 15 likes again. If you're on YouTube, hit that heart button. If you're on Instagram, you can, I forgot what Instagram is. I believe you can hit a heart button on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Hit Instagram for me. Hit the heart on Instagram. and you can do that as well. I appreciate all you guys that are hanging with me. I had a lot of people that were checked in on Instagram. Wow. Okay. I appreciate all y'all. My brother on it, well, at least he was. Coach Cobbs is on here. Jeremiah switched over to Instagram from Facebook. T Nash, what's up, man? Cedric Morris. Jordan Lane. I see y'all. My auntie was on here on Instagram. Some of these handles I can't even pronounce. Yogi. Okay. Anna Lalex. Okay. My cousin Norman Brooks was on here. Appreciate everybody that joined in, however long y'all was on here. Glad y'all peeped me out, even if it was just for a second. I appreciate it. Hey, I see Miss Ty just joined. Hey, I see you on Instagram. I had a few people that joined in on here. I'm sorry that I couldn't get to you when you were on here. I have to split screens in order to see you guys, but I appreciate everybody that popped in. So Instagram, it looked like my return to Instagram is all right. You said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Okay, not bad. I had over 10 people, 12 people that showed up on Instagram. Not bad at all. Okay. Call-in line is open, 901-654-6853. I got at least 22 more minutes left before my time is up. I'll just go off what you guys are saying here in the chat, and we can finish it up. But if you want to call in, you can call in now. You got a little time. Make your point. Say, big time, you're wrong. Big time, you're right. Big time, you don't know what you're talking about. Big time, you're horrible. Big time, you my guy. It's one or the other. Hey, listen, real quick. I'll do this in the meantime. So today, I recorded my first show, my second show that will be on the NGBN network, the Seeking Clear Thoughts show. But that will not be live. It will be a pre-recorded show that I believe that will be seen on Wednesday evenings. So I will not be live, but I will be airing the show, and you'll be able to watch the show on the NGBN.TV network, as well as my personal YouTube pages, the Seeking Clear Thoughts YouTube page, Seeking Clear Thoughts YouTube page, and it will be on my personal Facebook page, which of course it's Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. Listen, if you want to hear some spiritual stuff from Bishop Brooks, which is me, then you need to join that show. Again, if you want to watch it on YouTube, go to Seeking Clear Thoughts. Just put that in your search. You'll see it and subscribe to it. Turn on the notifications. I'll be there. If you want to join,
call from
Cowboy Marlon.
If you want to join in on my Facebook page, go to and just put a friend request in, Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. I'll accept your friend request. The show will be on there. Again, it will be pre-recorded. You'll be able to make some comments on there, but it won't be live. I will see all the comments. Hopefully, the show will bless you in that area. All right, I got my partner on here, Cowboy Marlon, in the building. What's going on?
Excellent show. Excellent. This is one of my favorite shows that you had. I listen usually, sometimes not live. Depends on what I've got going on with this outstanding show.
Thank you,
Your follower, I've been seeing him for a while, but JD, I guess he's in Arkansas, has outstanding color and outstanding. His opinions are good. I enjoy almost seeing his comments on the side screen as I do listening to the show. But he's a very, very informed follower of yours.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. I think you probably saw in this a piece that I sent. Perhaps I've got some way that I could post it to a larger board that everybody could see. But armchair GM is something that I just so happen to see online, and I decided I'd send it to you. And it's not just the Cowboys that have this, I don't want to call it a dilemma, but discussion. Mm-hmm. We've all been brainwashed by the Cowboys organization. I think, a lot of us listen to the Cowboys.com programming, and, you got Talking Cowboys and Cowboys Break and Hanging with the Boys and all of these various shows that they produce. And I've come to the realization that all of that stuff is propaganda. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It's not really an honest and true appraisal of what's going on. We heard a couple years ago, oh man, Michael Gallup looks awesome. He looks better than he did at first. Oh man, the receiver Jalen Tolbert, he looks better than much improved. And I think all of that's propaganda. This is the truth. Last year's draft was not really as bad, and I want to give a shout out to Coach Mars. Mm-hmm. He brought some things to my attention. Last year's draft really wasn't as bad as what it looks. Let's really think about it. If you don't draft a guy on day one or day two, you really can't rely on getting production from those players that are day three picks at least right away. No way. Yeah, you hit the jackpot with the cornerback a few years ago, and he was a day three pick, and now he's all pro a couple years later. But in reality, let's go pick by pick. Mozzie Smith, who I thought at the time they drafted him was a reach. That doesn't mean he can't be a good football player, but I think they drafted Mozzie Smith because they thought, well, we need an interior defensive tackle. You did need an interior defensive tackle, but you have to allow the board to come to you. If you're drafting 22nd and there's not a player at that spot that justifies what it is, and that's fine if it matches. All right, like this year, it may very well match. Mm-hmm. You mentioned 3 positions on offense, and these so happened coincidentally, and it don't mean that I know what I'm talking about. It doesn't necessarily mean that you know what you're talking about, but you identified the exact 3 positions on offense that I identified. Mm-hmm. You could use a center, and potentially a center could start. You could use a running back, and potentially a running back could start. And you could use a third wide receiver. I consider the third wide receiver to be a starter because you play out of I guess that would be 11 personnel. You play out of 11 personnel more often than anything else. So that's 1 tight end, 1 running back, and everybody else on the field that's an eligible receiver. It would be a wide receiver. So we play that more than anything. So we could use a third receiver. It would obviously be competition. If you signed a third receiver or drafted a third receiver, however, you bring in someone new, they're going to have to compete with Jalen Tolbert or whoever else emerges or whatever. But I think in order to get somebody that's got the type of grade that you think they could come right in and have an impact, you're going to take that player on day 1 or day 2. Mm-hmm. Last year, they took Mozzie. It's not so much that Mozzie had a bad year. Several things. One, I have no idea in the world why you would draft a 330-pound man that you watched on tape. You talked about how powerful and how strong he is, and then you put him basically on Jenny Craig and have him to lose and get down to 290.
Ridiculous.
If you wanted a quick, explosive, disruptive, fast, up the field type 3 technique, draft that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to go and draft this player that has these attributes and then you bring them in and try to mold them into something else. That's a project. You do something like that in the middle round. Now, you don't do that with no first round pick. Besides, you don't even have tape that you've seen of him playing at that weight. If I saw him play at 330 and I like what I saw, then I want him to come in and play at 330. The next thing is the tight end, Shoemaker. I don't think Shoemaker was a bad player at all. He just couldn't beat out Ferguson. When you have a good football team, when you've got a good football team and you got Hankins at nose tackle and he's hard to beat, and you got Ferguson at tight end and he's hard to beat, mm-hmm. It's difficult to crack the lineup when the team is basically set. That's when I think all this draft and building through the draft and we like our guys, maybe so. But you might like your guys, but isn't it clear that whether you like your guys or not, this isn't enough. We need more. We need something else to help us out to get over the top. And if you take a look at the 49ers, look how many players the 49ers added through free agency or trade or whatever, veteran guys that had already been in the league that have made an impact. Chase Young, Randy Gregory. I mean, there's any number of players. Take a look at it. They brought guys in, but the Cowboys, I believe that building through the draft is good. But also, I don't think that's why we do it. I think we build through the draft and we like our guys. We say all this kind of stuff. I think that they choose that method because it's cheaper. It's cheaper to bring in players that are inexpensive under a rookie deal than to have to be in a competitive situation out like Derrick Henry. I know he can play. You know he can play. They know he can play. But it's cheaper to draft somebody in the third or fourth round and pay them $1 million than it would be to compete in an open market. We don't like to get into a competing type situation for players. But there's a reason that these players demand that money, because not only are they accomplished, but they're proven. If you want proven players, you gotta break bread. That's all it is to it, man. And I'm to the point now where, and if you take a look at the league, whether it be the Philadelphia Eagles, they add key players every year. You look at the 49ers, they add key players every year, even the Detroit Lions. The best teams in the league do draft well, but that doesn't make you allergic to bringing in key free agents. Like right now,
there you go.
I don't want to. I like the center from Oregon. I do.
Mm-hmm.
The Johnson kid, but I don't want us to reach and take him, well, because he's the least expensive way and he is an outstanding player, no question. And if he's there, I'll probably take him. Well, why don't we go ahead and have a team that on the morning of the draft, we could put a team out on the field that we could win with. Then you can go into the draft and you can really use the BPA, best player available. Let the board come to you. If you got the top 25 players on your board and you're drafting 24, you know that at least a couple of these guys that we have ranked in the top 25 should be there. Yeah. And what really helps this year is all these quarterbacks that people are saying that quarterback needy, that should push even more quality players that are non-quarterbacks down that you can choose and have a selection. Then if it so happens that the need matches the talent, then that's fine. But if you're saying, well, we need a nose tackle, or we need a tight end here, and I heard Brada say, well, they took a tight end because they were getting wiped out. They wanted to take a tight end, so they went on and took a guy that they had a third-round grade because they were afraid that when they came back around for round 3, it wouldn't be nobody there.
Yeah.
Well, look at the result of that. Do you see what I'm saying? Now you wound up getting a lesser player in the second round because you took a player in the second round that you had a third-round grade on, and those grades might be similar, second, third, day 2. But the best and only way that I think you use the draft to stockpile talent, not to feel a need. You should have a team that's ready to go. If you want Derrick Henry, whatever it costs, fine. Whatever it costs to get Jacobs, fine. Pay it. That's what it's worth. If you got to compete with some other teams, then you're competing for the best.
Exactly.
You're competing for the best. And if you want to win and you want to be the best, then you got to compete with the best.
That's right. You get no argument. You sound like me. You just said it a different way, but it's the same thing. At this point, after 12 and 5, 3 straight, I mean, it's obvious that you need to add to it. It's not the draft and development thing. That's not it. We've done that. It's very simple. You got to, if you're talking about getting over the hump, if you're talking about, bringing that extra punch, that teams are gonna say, oh Lord, they got this guy. A defensive coordinator need to be scared when the Dallas Cowboys come to town, whether that's offensive or defensive. Our offensive coordinator need to be scared when they see that, oh God, we got to deal with this defense. Right now, nobody ain't scared of us. I'm sorry. Nobody ain't scared of us. They scared of CeeDee Lamb, but you don't have nothing to complement it, on the level that will make this thing really crazy. So you got to do that. The last time that we really had it was when Gallup was healthy, and you had CD in his rookie, and then you had Amari Cooper. That was scary. And you had it opened up everything. Right now, we don't have that. You got to do something.
Well, Bishop, would you agree right now, if we were honest about this team, I would say that running back and linebacker are two positions that right now we're deficient. I think at every other position group, we could probably use a third receiver and upgrade that. But other than running back, linebacker, and maybe adding a piece at receiver, I think we're better or as good as most all the other teams in the playoffs.
Yes.
But the problem is our linebackers are so sorry and weak that one position. It you know what I'm saying? Like, it was obvious against Buffalo. It was obvious. We don't have a linebacker. And I know you're talking about, well, you lost Overshown. We shouldn't have been dependent on no rookie in Overshown. No way.
No, we don't even have linebackers. That's how bad it is. We don't have it. You know, Clark is,
and that's not coaching. That's not coaching. That's management. That's management. They knew they was weak at linebacker the first game of the season.
Yeah.
You know?
And if Pollard, if they decide to let Pollard go on, we don't have no running back. To be honest with you.
Well, just take that money you paid him. You could take that same money you paid Pollard. You ain't got to go cheaper. Just take that same money, and I guarantee you, if the budget was $10 million, just take that same money and give it to somebody that's a better high quality player. And it's tough for us, man. We're from Memphis. We want to see Tony Pollard do well and be successful. I just don't think he's equipped to be the bell cow guy to carry the load. He's not that guy. He's I don't mind bringing Tony Pollard back at the right price, but he needs something else to go with it, man.
There's no question about that. And so you're absolutely right. The two spots, because they already have somewhat of an answer already in the house. If Biadasz goes, you got Hoffman there. Now, you may say, we might need somebody else. That's fine, but at least they can play football because Hoffman is pretty good. But as far as linebackers and running back, though, I mean, we ain't there. So, I mean, it's obvious that has to be addressed rather quickly. I just hope that they just don't decide to say, hey, we're getting all this from the draft. No, we need guys that already know what to do. Yeah, you can get a linebacker in the draft, and I'm quite sure we will. But we need some guys that have done it. You know what I'm saying? We need some guys that have done it that can get us to. In other words, give me some impact guys, day one players, day one starters. That's what I want. That's what I think we need. But of course, that's what we want. But are the Dallas Cowboys thinking the same way? That's the only question. And it's going to take money in order to do what we're talking about. It's going to take money in order to do that. But I don't know. I just know how Stephen Jones is. So I don't know.
Well, excellent show, Bishop. I have one last thing that I need you to do for me.
Go ahead.
I need you to tell my girlfriend that catfish does go with spaghetti.
It does. Boy, you crazy. It does. It does. That's regular. Look, that's universal. That's universal. It does go with it. I don't know what the substitute would be that maybe she may be thinking of, but catfish goes with spaghetti. I appreciate you, Mark. I think he gone. Okay. He hung up on me. Okay. Appreciate that. Listen, I got 8 minutes for somebody who wants to jump on and counting. I got about 8 minutes left. Got about 8 minutes left. All right. You got I got about 7 minutes left for that. If not, let me again tell you guys you would help us out if you would download the NGBN TV app to your phone. My shows are there. At least since I've been on the network, my shows are there. I have an on-demand channel there. You can watch me anytime. I guess you could say the same thing about Facebook or YouTube. It's the same thing. You good on that. And then my new show will, I believe, begin this Wednesday. It's either this Wednesday or next Wednesday. It's one or the other. But Seeking Clearer Thoughts. Seeking Clearer Thoughts show that you can see. I'm going to put that there. All you have to do is search that. It's right there on the screen there. Seeking Clearer Thoughts. You can just type that in to the YouTube. Type that into the YouTube search and just subscribe and turn on the notification. If you are on Facebook, in order to see the show, you're going to have to join. It will not be seen on the Big Time Show page. I'm keeping everything separate. It will not be seen on the Big Time page. It will be seen on my personal Facebook page, and simply go to this. I guess I should correct it a little bit. If you want to correct it, let me correct this for you. Go to this Facebook page, or excuse me, put this into the search and just add me or send a friend request, and you can do that. So it's that right there. Type that in. That's my name, Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. Type that into Facebook. Send me a friend request, and if you're interested in seeing the spiritual side come out of me, I won't be Big Time, then I'll be Pastor Brooks or Bishop Brooks, whichever one you want to call me. I'll be kind of dipping into that side. But that's how you be able to see it on those two pages there. Then, of course, it will be on the NGBN.TV network. It will not be live. It'll be a pre-recording. Forgive me for not knowing the time quite yet. We're still in talks about the exact time when I'll be on. But as soon as I know, I'll let you guys know. But if you turn on the notifications, whatever time it is, it'll be there for you. Okay? Again, I want to thank everybody for hanging with your boy tonight. I want to thank all of you that popped on Instagram and watched and talked, joined in pretty good tonight on there. Thankful those who joined in. Ian Boogie, I am Boogie. I am Jay Boogie. I see my frat brother on here, Nardo, showed up in here. Appreciate you. 901BA3, I don't know who that is. Okay, I see it's time to go. It's almost time to go. I see my producers giving the nod. I see that. It's about that time, y'all. Gotta go. We'll see you on Saturday. If anything pop off, y'all, you know I'm coming. It won't be on NGBN, but if I gotta do a show just on Facebook and YouTube, you know I will do that, and Instagram, I will do that. So I appreciate you guys for showing up for me tonight. We're getting ready to get out of here until Saturday. Appreciate you, Andrew. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Let's get out of here, y'all. This has been the one and only. Y'all share this for me. This is the Big Time Show.